Tracy, thank you so much for joining me here on the Zoom and participating in this content. It's really exciting to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's great to, connect in this time of crisis. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. Um, let's start with an introduction of yourself. So if you don't mind just kind of telling folks who you are and what you're all about.
Sure thing. My name is Tracy DeForge. I'm the founder of the Players Impact, a membership community of professional athletes involved in early stage investing and entrepreneurship.
Great, good deal. Nice and tight. See, that's the thing. Look, when you're driving investments and pitches all day for players, I'm sure you got your own pretty much down.
Yeah, you have to.
So,
I'm all about to the point, right? I'm not a lot of fluff.
where are you riding this whole quarantine and COVID out?
I'm outside of Boston, so suburbs of Boston. It hasn't been too bad to be home, but
What's the scene overall for you personally?
I'm home with 3 other people in the house and a dog. And personally, I feel grateful. There's been nobody directly impacted by COVID that I know. So I'm feeling grateful for having a healthy, happy family here.
Great. So in terms of like the business effect that may have kind of impacted you directly, what have you been experiencing, I guess, from the players' impact standpoint over the last, say, 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, Pavan, and we started some of these conversations earlier in the year around collaborating on events. What's really important to our community is getting together, getting to know who else is in the community and how are they interacting and how are we providing some of that education and resources during these events. So we've been, at a loss to think about when should we be planning the next in-person get together. And in the interim, though, we've really taken to Zoom, much like this. We're doing weekly pickups, we call them, where we're engaging members of the community to talk about their journey and what they're up to. So it's been nice on that level.
Yeah, it's tough. What are you thinking about timeline? Because I mean, when we were talking, we were actually specifically circling around the idea of maybe doing something with Bellwether, maybe for Art Basel, which I'm wondering if that's kind of cuspy as well, And
Yeah, I kind of think it might be. And it's hard to know, right? If that is like a nice to have versus a must have, if they're in the priority of things that they'll allow. And for me, I just hesitate to plan anything until we have some sense of what the fall and the flu season and, from what we read, there could be another outbreak. And so I'm reluctant to plan anything in person through the end of the year.
Yeah, so beyond the Zooms, though, how have you been, I guess, developing in this time?
Fortunately, deal flow, there's still a lot of companies out there looking for funding. And so we've been able to access quite a few very high profile deals. So continuing to offer those to our athletes and gain access has been good for us, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. What has kind of the athlete community, how have they responded to, say, for those that are currently in the leagues, how are they responding to this versus folks that may have been in legacy? How are they kind of working on maybe soft skills and tangential opportunities around their ecosystem?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost with the active players. We just had on Pat Connaughton yesterday on our pickup, who's plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. He was just such a great inspiration, I think, for current players to say, take advantage of the time, figure out exactly what are you doing with your time. This seems like a good point to reevaluate what you have going on and what you should be thinking about when the time comes that you no longer have a sport to go back to. So what are you doing to build towards that? That I thought was super insightful. He's been successfully building a real estate business even while he's playing, but he's had even more time to put a lot of thought about a bigger vision together. And then some of the more retired players, depending on where they are on their, if they own their own businesses or, we have a lot of entrepreneurial athletes. So same struggles as all the startups out there, figuring out like where are they in their life cycle and what funding needs they have. But for the most part, I think the attitudes are super positive, right? With athletes, I think what they're used to is being competitive and finding their competitive advantage in this environment. And that's been really fun to hear and to check in with them on their stick to itness, their resilience and grit to get through this.
Yeah, with my limited personal experience with team sports, going into high school and kind of recreational post college, there's a lot of, I guess, inspiration you could take from the way that athletes and sports in general kind of approach community and camaraderie and gamesmanship, in the sense of like right now, this does feel like the entire world is in it together. Unfortunately, we are all in it together. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of good attitudes that come out of, I could see from sports players. That's something I didn't think about before.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I guess let me take a step back. In terms of building in this time, is there anything new that you're rolling out, whether it's formats beyond the pickups that are going to be kind of new aspects of your business that you would probably keep in perpetuity?
Definitely. I would say that we kind of had them in the back of our minds to be building on. A few things that we're rolling out is a partnership with a group called Republic, where we're going to be offering, they'll basically white label a platform, but they're an equity crowdfunding group that will use our athletes as investors to promote the different investments that they make, to allow their fans to invest alongside them.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
almost like a crowdfunding approach on top of an investment.
so we'll continue to have our, what we do is special purpose vehicles, and we'll make those different investments. But for companies that are interested in the crowdfunding platform, our athletes can identify ones that they like, and then we'll help using their sphere of influence, their social, etc., to go ahead and drive their fans to be part of the group, which obviously has a lot of benefits to the company, the portfolio company, from a marketing perspective, very brand ambassador type, but also gives them the benefit of ownership of that business.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And do you have any
Yeah.
kind of initial forecast at this point in terms of where the long tail effects for either your industry, the sports industry as a whole, may reside?
Ooh, my industry, no, I guess I don't have long-term forecasts except to say that I think sports will come back, right? Sports is what people are craving right now. We're finding ways to stay engaged with fans. Our athletes are finding unique ways to be more involved. We've just made an investment in a company called Triller, which is a mobile video music app, very similar to TikTok, a little bit different. But the usage of these types of tools is just skyrocketed. People are home being creative and sharing it with their fans, and these athletes and artists. This is backed by a lot of hip hop artists and a few of our athletes now. So it's really fun to see the different ways that folks are engaging their fans that can't be on, in the arenas or in the stadiums.
Yeah, like new adoption is a real thing. Like, for instance, my parents are on Zoom, right? There's no chance that they would have ever been or even tried something like Zoom to, communicate with their family in India or whoever it may be, or even us.
Yeah.
Do you project, and I know that you're not in the business necessarily of media, but a lot of, your LPs and folks are, right? Just by the
Mhm.
nature of work that they do being influencers and influential. Do you see that these platforms will remain to be kind of portals of engagement, like this, like stickiness?
Yeah, at least through resuming play, where there is a definite possibility, more than likely, that fans won't be allowed in the arenas or the stadiums while the athletes are playing. So the fans will be able to see the play via some tools like this, but they won't necessarily be there. And so I think that at least for the next couple of years, we'll see that engagement to continue, including things like technology to allow fan crowd noise to come in from their homes into live broadcasts. And yeah, so there will be a lot of good that comes out of this as far as technology and advancement. But and some of it will stick. It's hard to say right now how long it'll be before we have a new normal.
Yeah, being that athletes are, of course, the cornerstone of the sports industry, are you finding that some of your partners, your athlete partners, are more now interested in looking for technological solutions to engage directly with fans and also bring them into the experience, as you mentioned, maybe the clapping things? Are they looking for those sorts of investment opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can see that, and as with a lot of technology, sports is really just the tip of the iceberg to prove out a business model, right? You can see that a lot of the technologies that may get their start in a very passion driven real time influence like sports to then parlay that into other verticals. So I think that any good investor is looking to say, all right, if it's working now in sports, how does that also translate to other industries and build a large business and a very good investment?
Yeah, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us on this
Yeah,
quick chat, and really appreciate your insights, particularly your time during this oddly demanding
that's a good way to
point of
say
time, right?
it.
Like
Yeah.
we would expect being quarantined that it would be a little bit easier, but you know, I'm sure you're running full force just like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. It's I guess in that way we've been super busy and excited to continue engaging the athletes, and thank you for taking the time and the interest in what we're doing. I'm
Yeah, definitely.
excited to let's think about Art Basel. Let's keep our eye on that and never give up our optimism for
You
getting back
know, and
together.
you know, I missed out on Chicago. Had I known that that would be there would be a long pause after that, I would have probably been there,
Yeah,
bells and whistles. But you know, hopefully things will turn around and we'll be able to connect again soon.
for sure. I'd like that.
All right, then.
All
Cheers.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.